Hey guys, this is Vesper, and we're finally going to start breaking down the patch notes for Season 4 Street Fighter V. Before we get started on the characters though and get really specific here, let's go over the universal changes to the game first, because these changes of course will still affect your favorite character. I'm going to talk about the changes that Capcom addressed specifically, as well as some consistencies I've seen throughout the other character notes on things that Capcom didn't mention, but it's mostly universal across many characters. So let's get started. So the first big universal change is moves with armor. It says if your character's vitality and white life is reduced to 0, they'll now be KO'd. So this one's pretty self-explanatory. I think this is going to hurt some characters that rely on armor attacks to clutch. Mainly Zangief during his V skill, or birdie players like to use a lot of EX bullheads near the end of the round to clutch as well. This will definitely hurt Abigail's V trigger 1 and his running EX run as well. So there are a lot of characters that have armor attacks that you can use these attacks to either bring your V gauge up so you can get a one last V trigger, or you just try to close the round with it. It looks like Capcom doesn't want these to be used as basically reversals or ways to come back, and when your life depletes, you'll simply just die. So let me show you an example. Zangief has no life left. Boom, still kills him even though he absorbs it. This would be the same if he was doing his Charge Titan Hard Punch, for example, and any other armored attack in the game. And you know, I've been having troubles adjusting to this myself. I keep forgetting about it. You realize how many times you actually do armor attacks in this game when you're trying to clutch when you have no life left. And yeah, I've been KO'd a bunch of times when I keep forgetting that. Yeah, it doesn't work anymore if you don't have enough remaining life. But don't worry too much, guys. If you enjoy using armored attacks, they also buffed it as well. It says stun values for opponents' attacks that are absorbed by the armored state have been reduced from 100% to 50%. This is actually a typo. It's not the stun values that have been reduced, because you can't get stun damage from armor attacks. It's the damage values that have been reduced. So this means now when you armor an attack, instead of taking 100% of the damage, you're now going to take only 50% of that damage. So this means you can use armor attacks a lot more and you know, not have too much gray health built up after successfully arming an attack. This greatly helps characters like Zangief's V skill, maybe Akuma when he does his V skill, and many other characters, Birdie as well. So the same characters that would kind of hurt, it also help, obviously. So this is really good on just, you know, being rewarded for actually using your armor attacks correctly and not worrying about the opponent getting all that damage back afterwards. So just a quick example, if I do an uppercut on Zangief at heavy DP, his health bar go down to around the N. And then if he absorbs it instead, it goes down to around the E. So like I said, 50% damage. Capcom also left some developer notes on these changes saying, regarding moves with armor, considering that the number of armored moves is increasing while there aren't very many armor break moves in the game, we've changed it so a character can be KO'd if their vitality drops below 0, even during an armor absorb. As a trade-off, we have adjusted it so that the damage dealt to armored moves is reduced. Alright, moving on to the next big universal change. This is regarding invincible moves that could be counter-hit after the move ends. It says, among the invincible moves where the counter-hit status continues up to the end of the move, for moves that are invincible starting on frame 1, damage dealt during move recovery will be 1.2 times that of normal damage dealt. Please refer to each character to see which moves have been affected. So this is specifically for invincible reversals. Those are the ones that are invincible frame 1, you know, your EX uppercuts or your flash kicks, etc. It seems like Capcom really wants these moves to be extremely risky. So not only will you get that crush counter punish if you want it, you'll also get 20% more damage on top of that. So really risky now. There's already people that are like doing non-crush counter combos on purpose to get more damage, but now you can still do a crush counter and still get the damage on top of that, or you can just land a really fat combo. So beware, invincible reversal users. The risk is very high now. Alright, so the developer notes say, crush counters were adjusted as part of the Season 3 adjustments, but as a result, this led to a decrease in risk for invincible moves. I disagree with this, but anyways, it says, so this time around we've made adjustments based on that. For moves such as EX Shoryuken that are invincible from frame 1 and have counter hit status until the end of the move, when blocked they will be subject to taking more damage upon counterattack. Only the first hit will deal 1.2 times damage, but depending on the move used to start the punish, it could lead to a very damaging punish. Indeed it has. This is especially scary for really long EXDPs like Akuma or Ken, where you're able to actually activate your V-trigger in between. There's going to be some serious punishes now. Okay, moving on. This one's an interesting one. Invincibility on V-trigger activations. This one says, the invincibility during the screen freeze for V-trigger activation differed, as there were some characters who took a hit and others who did not. This has been changed so that all characters will take a hit if it lands during the screen freeze of V-trigger activation that was not cancelled into. See each character's change list to see which characters are affected by this change. For V-trigger activation cancels, refer to each character's change list. So all this means is that there was a bunch of characters in the game where when they activated V-trigger, they would be invincible to all attacks for like a single frame, a frame or two. This wasn't really abused too much in tournaments. I mean, there was a rare case or where you would use it, because most of the time, you know, you're activating your V-trigger off of an attack, but it definitely was doable for sure. And like I said, not every character had it. It was mostly the characters that have V-trigger activations that aren't actually attacks, where they just go into a pose or whatever. But now it's consistent across the board. Now, activating V-trigger does not give you invincibility unless it's specifically some kind of invincible attack. As for the developer comments, it says, there is a large discrepancy in characters who could take advantage of the V-trigger activation invincibility window, as well as the invincibility time on the presence thereof, so we've made changes to make it more universal across the board. So it's not a big deal for a lot of us, but now players can't take advantage of it in Season 4. Alright guys, now for the rest of the universal patch notes that were listed. They were mostly just specific bug fixes, so I won't bore you guys with the details on those. You don't have to worry about that. However, looking at the rest of the characters, there are definitely some universal changes that I've noticed that weren't specifically mentioned. I'm going to mention now. There's two of them. The first one is that certain crush counters give less V-gauge now. Now these are specifically the ones that, you know, you can combo after, the really powerful ones, the abusable ones that are safe on block, for example. These include Bison's standing heavy kick and his down forward hard punch. They now give 120 V-gauge when it used to give 150. Really powerful ones like Birdie's standing heavy kick, it went from 200 V-gauge down to 150, and Zangief charge standing hard punch went from 300 V-gauge to only 200 now, and many more. Like I said, it's the big crush counters that are really abusable. I feel like Capcom has really trying to make a lot of adjustments to crush counters in general, where it comes to the scaling, the damage, and even what you're able to combo after. They're always going after them every single season, and this time they're going after the amount of V-gauge that it actually builds. However, Capcom also buffed every single sweep crush counter to give more V-gauge now. So every character's crouching heavy kick will give 120 V-gauge from 100. So a buff to those crush counters. I think everyone agrees that these are the most honest crush counters in the game, because they are risky, because they are sweeps. They're all unsafe, well, for most characters. But now you get a bigger reward and, of course, a hard knockdown. Finally, the last universal change that I've seen is a lot of the recovery animations for a lot of characters are now more distinct. So this is target on characters that have pretty much like the same looking recovery animation after you knock them down, whether it's a normal recovery or a back recovery. Some characters, it's really hard to tell with some characters. So Capcom has made it now that you can really eyeball it and tell if someone is doing a normal recovery or a back recovery just by looking at the animation. This is for so many characters like Minot, Birdie, Armika, Fane, etc. So look at Minot when you knock her down. Look at the animation. And then look at the back recovery now. You can see it's very distinct now. You can easily tell if she's doing a back or a normal, not just by the distance that she moves, but by the animation itself. I think this is a great change. This helps players with their setups a little bit better, especially when the opponent is in the corner, when it's really hard to tell if they're doing a back recovery because you don't have the, you can't see the distance anymore. So pretty good universal change to that, good quality of life. So that's it, guys, for the universal changes as far as I could tell. Let me know if I missed anything universal. Otherwise, yeah, we're going to start tackling the characters now one by one, going over specifically what has been changed. So I look forward on working on that, guys. Let me know what you guys think about these universal changes, especially with, you know, invincible reversals being even more punishable now, even though they require a meter already. Let me know what you guys think about the armor attacks. Now it could be KO'd if they don't have enough life and taking half the damage. These are some interesting changes for Season 4, and I look forward to seeing how it will affect some characters going forward. So, be sure to like the video, guys, if you found it interesting, and subscribe to the channel, and yeah, I'll start tackling these patch notes videos. So, till then, guys, take care.